What's up, guys and gals? Welcome back to the Nerd Castle. Today in the world of indie games, we're going to be taking a look at a title called The Horror at Highrook. This is a game that, from what I've seen of it so far, taking a look at the Steam page and just fiddling around with the UI, appears to be Cultist Sim, but spun out to be a little bit more interpretable, I guess is the word that I would use. So anything that has to do with Alexis Kennedy and Cultist Sim or any of those sorts of games that they make, it's always got a layer of esotericism where you don't really know what you're doing. You're kind of failing forward the entire time. This game seems to dial that back a little bit into a more believable universe while still playing with the same occult ideas and themes, but effectively you are a team of occult investigators with like a hunter and like a machinist, an engineer, a scholar. You're sent to a house to figure out what happened to a prominent occult family that was living inside of there because they've disappeared without a trace. And so it's kind of one part Cultist Sim, it's one part Clue, it's like one part tabletop RPG, if you've ever played a tabletop game like a board game called Arkham Horror before, and it's all arranged with the exact same aesthetic that we've come to expect from Cultist Simulator. That is to say, you have cards or tiles, you've got a board, you place them in various spots, and as time transpires, based on the skill levels, the level ups, the equipment, and the things that you give their guys, you'll be working your way through this investigation to figure out what happened to this family. And so I love Cultist Simulator. It's one of my favorite games of all time. I can't toot their horn enough. I think it's a fantastic achievement. It's one of those games that I've beaten about a gazillion times. And so let's dive on into this thing. If after watching this you wanted to check it out, I got a link for you down below in the description. It's not out yet, but you can play this demo. Let's do it. Highrook Estate, an aristocratic ivory of cold rock and rain, a melancholy shadow overlooking Black Sands Port. At the summit of the Grey Cliffs lies the crumbling edifice of Acheron House. Once respected by the city elite, the Acheron family fell from grace to become the subject of snide remarks and scornful whispers. Lord Acheron was a prominent book collector whose increasing interest in the occult saw him driven from respected academic practice. It is rumored he turned to the Seeker's Communion for support shortly before his family's enigmatic disappearance. The Seeker's Communion is a shady organization of mystics, seers, and exiled scholars. This clandestine group supports occult practices across the city and facilitates a black market for arcane goods. Officially banned by the Black Sands Council, the collective continues its work in secret. The vanishing of a noble house, however disfavored, cannot go unexamined by the council. The Black Sands mayor, Lord Alliston, has commissioned a cross-guild team to investigate. A dilapidated stagecoach deposits the party at Highrook. The rain echoes eerily throughout its empty halls. We hide in the shadows of the world beyond, for its light would surely blind us. Dear investigators, by order of the High Council, you are granted license to commandeer Highrook Manor and its associated facilities. Investigate the disappearance of the Acheron family, the owners of the estate, who were reported missing several days ago. The Acherons were well known in the city, and their vanishing is concerning, especially considering a rumored affiliation with the Seeker's Communion. Please treat any evidence you might find as confidential and report immediately to the Council when your task is complete. A news report is included to provide further context on the unusual event. I see that Mayor Alliston is conceited as always. His presumption that all city events require oversight is so tiresome. At Bleakhurst College, we are driven by knowledge, not ego. I suspect my guild has been involved in more political point scoring than out of respect for learning. Indeed, Vitali, I'm equally tired of Alliston's petty machinations, but the High Council provides us with the bulk of our funding, and as such, we're obliged to respond. At least they provided us with some tools to begin our work. We should take this supply crate over to the machine room where I can extract the contents. I'll leave the books and politics to you fellows. I'm paid to act, not to think. I don't trust bookworms like this Acheron chap or his supposed mates. The Seeker's Communion sticking their noses where they should and is asking for trouble. Spoken like an Aldworther. Don't worry, my friend. You'll be away from the books and back at the docks before you can blink. If you can do that. We have no time for squabbling. Our remaining colleague, a doctor from Cairncross, will join us tomorrow, and we should prepare for her arrival. We should proceed logically. Once we've unpacked the supply crate, we can begin to survey the area and establish the facilities are still functional. So here we are. We've started out in Highrook Manor, and as you can see, the clue correlation that I drew is actually kind of like astute here, and I think that's kind of an interesting idea because it organizes the game a little bit better than Cultist Simulator. So Cultist Simulator, you just had an empty board with like a tablecloth over the top of it, and rooms, locations, people, they were all cards, and then you attach cards together to interact with them with one another. This gives it kind of like a nice feeling of organization where you know where everything's gonna be at. You're trying to get into these rooms to figure out what to investigate next, but the first thing we got to do is we need to put the machinist and we need to put the supply crate over in the machine room. And what this game also does is it just kind of tells you straight, what do you need to succeed at this task over here? Whereas in Cultist Simulator, there can be like main interactions, there can be side interactions, there can be sort of off-lane interactions that then hint at what you should be doing over there. Like I said, from what I've played so far, although it wasn't very much, it feels less esoteric and more investigative and sort of a little bit more logical. You have to take a lot less logical leaps from what I've seen so far. Usually you just have to meet these skill criteria. The acrid smell of engine oil permeates this space, propagated by hidden fans and shaking ducts. Mechanical computers hum softly, anchored with cables like metal roots. Their punch card ports, eager for data. All right, we'll start the task over there. I think I can make myself have a larger UI and text as well, which I would prefer to have here. My eyeballs don't see too good nowadays, and so in like 1.5 seconds, well, maybe not, in like 9 seconds, we'll be done with this thing over here. You can speed up and slow down the game's pace, just in case you're impatient like me. And it looks like we got ourselves a library codex, a well-thumbed index from Bleakhurst College describing the canonical organizations of archives and texts. Okay, so we probably want to send him over there to take a look at the text, and it only requires one of whatever that stat is, records, and he has that stat, so we'll have him start investigating. We also have spy glasses, a pair of ornate binoculars composed of burnished brass fittings and oil-smudged leather. The lenses stain the world a watery blue, but the magnification and focus are impressive. Okay, what is this thing? The night lamp. A mechanist lantern from the Venatus workshop. Its clockwork heart produces a hypnotic hum when activated. The soporific sound, combined with a soft scattering of dappled light, is guaranteed to induce sleep. The act of sleeping reduces the fatigue of all characters present in a room. It can also provide us with lips. So what are lips? What do those do? Incantations, and it can provide us with inspiration. Okay. I think what we probably want to do is send him over to here because he's got paths, which is kind of like hunting skill, and we probably just want to slap that in right there and see what he can accomplish over on this side. She's a little bit fatigued right now. We can eat a meal, but I don't think we actually have anything to eat right this second. The Acheron family, one of the city's more notable houses, have disappeared under suspicious circumstances. A delivery boy from Direwich Market discovered the family's absence when he arrived at the Clifftop Manor a week ago. Entering the building, he found the property abandoned and in disarray as if witness to a violent storm. Acherons were nowhere to be found, and their servants, a maid and warden, were also missing. The High Council announced that it was commissioned a cross-guild team to investigate. Okay, we'll send these over here because we've already read them. You get like a big records board right here just to keep one-time use things or like expositive items nice and easy and to keep track of, so like I wouldn't worry about it too much. We do have a guest room over here. While they're all doing that, let's send them on over and start the task of resting. I guess it seems like it takes about as long as the rest of this. What does this say? Spyglass, night lamp, library codex. It's just telling us what came inside the crate. My eyeballs work, so I don't need to know that. And we've got a couple of things over here to take a look at. I'm going to slow the game down for a moment, and we'll get the guest room done before I start popping things over. And so she should have no fatigue now, but she is a little bit hungry. So it's actually got like a survival aspect to it as well. They've turned it into a meter. You had to do the same thing in Cultist Simulator where they had money and you had to spend a certain amount of money every like week or something like that. I forget exactly how long it was, but that was to cover all of your expenses and like feeding yourself and like your housing and things of that nature. You could buy new houses. This game, you've kind of got all that from the start. And so Gift of the Snake, coiling around my limbs like a second skin, but I am not afraid. They hiss, they caress, whispering dark secrets to me. A vision from a dream, a source of inspiration. Interesting. We got a machine overload card, traced with mathematical logic and yellowed with time. When used in a mechanist device, this item can aid calculations and improve performance. We can also study code, a slip of creased card inscribed with neat lines of numbers and symbols. It appears to be a key code of some kind. On the reverse surface, the image of a key is stamped in blue ink. We can use this card to perform a task in the machine room. Okay, bring that over here, and we'll have her get on it, I suppose, as she'll start working on that. With the tracing charcoal, it looks like it gives us, what is keys? Keys are mysteries. Okay. A small chunk of powdery coal. Its smoky dust coats the holder's hands in a fine film, revealing the patterns of fingerprints and scars. We can use this to reveal the hidden marginalia and erased notes in journals and tomes. Interesting. We also got some food over here. An ancient grain, the dry stalks supporting rough spiked ears. Cultivated and cropped with the pretense of making stodgy bread, its less Puritan uses for fermenting strong liquor. Okay, we'll put that in the dining room for right now. I'll probably have him run it again one more time just to see what we've got going on. Can I do this again? Am I allowed to do that? She's studying the code, right? All right, so she's studying the code. Let's get the night lamp. We'll try to keep all of our utilities kind of inside the machine room, like things that seem like they might go inside of there. I can have him study the book again. Let's see if there's a secondary interaction there that we can maybe play around with. He's not doing anything anyways, and everybody else is, so we might as well take a look at it. Oh my. Okay, so the Lord's note. To whoever finds this note, do not follow in my path. You will not find us. We will be beyond this place. They have their threads in us, all of us. They pull and we cannot resist. Before it's too late, I will clear the trail behind us, close all the doors that I can, and I beseech you, do not follow. I have made such errors of judgment, such acts of vanity and greed, and for what? How cryptic, a clear warning, but with such vague references. What does beyond this place mean? Who are the unnamed aggressors? It's difficult to decipher such an emotional outcry. It could be that the note is simply the ramblings of paranoia and isolation resulting from a more mundane tragedy, but there must be a rational explanation. I ain't a detective, but perhaps the Lord himself was up to no good, and this is him trying to cover his tracks. He could be trying to frame somebody else for the disappearance, or perhaps the books have just addled his mind and he's spouting bilge. Don't be so quick to judge. Lord Acheron was an accomplished academic. I don't think we can simply dismiss his writings as the babblings of a madman. There's likely truth in his words, and we need to conduct further research before we can interpret the message correctly. Okay, well, let's send that to records, I guess. We also got a trowel up here that will allow us to dig inside the courtyard, from what I can tell. I don't know if anybody roots. We do have the stat to go ahead and do that. Oh, you can study it multiple times. Does it say how many times we can study it? It says infinite uses. So I assume it's going to keep spitting things out for us. We got a cryptic text, a passage or two in ancient prose making reference to the house and something beneath or beyond. It's clearly of importance, but written in a language that requires further study in order to decipher. Can I put objects like out here on the side of the board as well? Okay. So we have a raven's cap. These ink star-stained button mushrooms represent the darker side of foraging cuisine. If you eat them raw, the rubbery flesh gives you hallucinations or stomach pains. Would-be Gnostics and cheap lotus eaters resort to this plant as a free source of short-lived visions. We could eat a handful in the dining room if we're feeling lucky. Consuming these mushrooms can provide keys or eyes, so we get inspiration, but they can also make you ill. All right, so we didn't pull out any food. Pa made me get some horrible old bell from the undercoves down where you can hear the sea. It was scary, and I think maybe the ocean... Oh, it's still running right now. I think maybe the ocean folk left it for him. It was all wrapped up in red cloth. Pa said not to look at it, but I did. It was made of real old metal like a dirty pan, and in it had foreign words on it that moved like spiders. When I touched the words, it made my arm hurt. Pa took the chapel and rings it at night and talks to himself. Sometimes he howls, and I worry it's hurting him like it hurt me. I hate it. I want to get rid of it, but Pa said no. Pa gets mad when I go near the drawings and words, so I'm playing outside right now mostly. I don't mind, though I don't really feel very well today. Okay. You continue hunting over here. How's your tiredness looking? 24%. All right. We had something that could go over to the machine shop, correct? So we can do a task in the courtyard with that. She has roots. So let's start digging around with the trowel out here. That's in progress already. You give it one more study. And once we've filled up this area with little things we can kind of fool around with, I'll start worrying about other things. So we've got books. I'm going to organize a little bit. I don't like to leave things laying around in games like this. I tend to try to keep things organized in one respect or another. Although I would recommend they let this zoom out further and give you another couple rows down here. And then they should also give you a couple different sort of like, I guess, pseudo boxes where it's got kind of like a contained area that you can't place things into without holding down a certain key. That way you can sort things a little bit. They could call it like a traveler's trunk, a closet, whatever else. They can call it whatever they want to call it. But I like having little organizational utilities in games like this. Just makes life easier. Okay, so we got an oil bud over here. It's a greasy, thick-headed flower. Its mottled stem supporting a heavy seed pact of crowned, waxy petals. If I can get into the laboratory, I can use that for something, but I can't get into the laboratory for right now. He's getting a little bit more fatigued, so we're going to send him to the guest room to rest. We'll start that off. We got the Seeker's Letter. Your efforts may have been noticed by Thomas. You're new to the circle and early in your instruction, but we see great potential in your work. Your library is significant, yet you lack the tools that might enable you to progress further in your experiments. Your neophyte status will bar you from accessing our own inventory, but the location of your property might provide you with your own resources. As you're aware, Highrook was built atop ancient undercoves and at the terminus of various smuggling routes. We believe occult items may still lie within the darkened chambers below the house, forgotten stashes of lost contraband. Our advice would be to scour the caves and recover whatever relics you can. Okay. We'll try to study the cryptic text next, after he's rest up. Over here we got raw meat, so that's good. We can use that in the kitchen, although it's going bad on us right now. How hungry is everybody? Is everybody like super hungry at the moment? Nobody's like super hungry. He's only like a little bit hungry, so I don't think I'm going to worry about it too much. Catalytic powder, a handful of glittering powders scraped from the salty coating off cliffside rocks. A useful reagent in chemical processes. This catalyst can support our activities in the laboratory. Okay, so we'll put that with the rest of our reagents right there. And it looks like it gives us some kind of alchemy support. You go ahead and run it one more time. He's resting over here. Go ahead and dig inside the courtyard one more time too. Our next batch of tasks is just about done. A fading fear. The night is gone, but it has left its anxious claws in my hair. Interesting. Well, I guess don't be nearby would be my advice right there. We do have the kitchen over here. That's going to go bad on us. I don't think anybody's particularly hungry right now, though. She dug up a healing sprig. She's 28% tired, so we're kind of like locked out of that room. Yeah, I can't move that, so everybody's afraid of the room right now. You go ahead and decipher that text for me, would you? And then you continue foraging. You continue digging. Maybe we'll find something useful out here. I believe the day has passed, and possibly our other individual is going to be here shortly. Okay, what do we have? A chemical worksheet. A detailed hand-drawn sheet of chemical tables and molecular diagrams translated from an ancient tongue. It provides a guiding matrix for budding alchemists to lay out their calculations. This worksheet will support our efforts inside the laboratory. Okay, so it gives us +1 right there. Put that over on that side. Decipher that one as well while you're on the task anyways. His madness going up. I don't know how close he can be to what's happening. We can also do something with the dream leaf inside the laboratory, but they're all kind of going bad on me right now. He didn't get anything from the cliff top. Go ahead and run it one more time. I don't think that's seconds. I think that's like hours of the day from what I'm looking at when I'm watching it go around on the little wheel. The Pale King. The Pale King's domain is beyond the River of Dusk, the twilight before the oblivion of night. By drawing his territory, here he escapes death, residing alone in the leaves of autumn, watching us all other pass by into the endless snow of winter. There are many doors to the Pale King's house, the hollowed arch of Greyhaven, the well of Marusa, the crystal heart of Persepolis. Each of these gates must be opened with the right words and offerings. The right of the key and the deep iron bell can summon the locksmith. Oh, and the kid said his dad was ringing a bell up in the tower. But beware the traveler, for the paths to the Pale King's domain are far too steep to retrace. Okay, continue your studies over here from the library codex. See what we can pull out that'll help. We've also got a focus fern right here. I mean, I guess I can throw her into there and she can maybe cook a meal. I don't know how cooking a meal works, but it looks like we've just about tapped out everything on that side. Apologies for my late arrival. I had to visit a patient in Direwitch and couldn't journey to Highrook until this morning. The fellow in question had developed Calson's compliance, bones like rubber. Utterly fascinating. Coincidentally, the guild was summoned here some weeks ago to examine the Acheron's son. Unfortunately, my colleagues were unable to diagnose the strange ailment that he was suffering from. Greetings, Dr. Caligar. Your late arrival's a no port. We barely unpacked our own equipment. The mansion is somewhat disturbed, and various chambers are inaccessible, sealed with mechanist locks. I do believe that one of the locations of the house may have a laboratory that you can make use of when we gain access. Greetings, Miss Caligar. I think you fixed me and my crew up at Aldworth last spring tide. Nasty case of keel fever. Saved us from a right wrecking, you would say. I was in a bad way myself, and I recall you sorted me out. If you need any alchemy supplies or help with shifting your stuff, just let me know. Did that open up the laboratory? Where's the laboratory at? I need into the laboratory. Laboratory's still locked up tight. Owl tea, an aromatic brew made from the leaves of focus fern, a subtle infusion that helps focus the mind and the intellect. Okay, we'll go finalize potions and stuff sort of over here where people can drink them. He's up on the cliff top again. Hopefully he'll drag something out. Task results in nothing for now, so I think we're about done there. As soon as that goes away, we've got another lab code right here. We can do something in the machine room with that. So let's send her on over. It looks like it requires 2, though, of the wrenches. Do I have anything around here that gives wrenches? I do not have anything that does wrenches. Okay. Well, I have task support right there. If I put it in the room, does it help? It does. Nice. Okay, so we've got it in the room. Let's see what they dig out. You go ahead and start the task real fast. And that got us into the laboratory. You love to see it. I'm getting more sick every day. The cold I caught from the undercoves makes my head hurt and my skin itch like ants. I feel tired. I'm writing this sitting in the medicine room waiting for Amy to make me a special sleepy drink. I really don't like being so sick. Maybe the bell put a curse on me or something. Anyways, Pa don't seem to care. He's still singing his sad songs in the chapel. I can hear him from my room sometimes, and I hope he doesn't get ill. I don't want it to curse him, too. Amy says it's best not to talk to him about it at the moment, though. Says he's been all quiet and grumpy as of late, and not like his normal self. This note only confirms what I suspected. Simon the Acheron's son was unwittingly involved in his father's occult investigations. The poor soul appears to have contracted a terrible otherworldly malady in the process. No wonder my colleagues couldn't identify the cause of the illness. I only wish that I'd had a chance to examine the condition. His description of the pain is very intriguing. The poor mite. His father's nothing but a coward, sending a kid into peril like that. Men of learning need to learn their responsibilities. Meddling in dark stuff, including your own son in the bargain, is shameful. And yet the bookworms scoff at us dox folk for our ignorance. Atticus, it's not our role to judge Lord Acheron's morals, simply to follow his trail. I agree that his actions are questionable, but we must ourselves be willing to make sacrifices in that pursuit. I think we can now assume that the son's illness was supernatural in origin. We should try to find more of the Lord's occult tools, discover how far he progressed in his studies. Okay, so do I have anything I could particularly study right now inside the laboratory? So we've got chemical tables. It looks like this is going to help out in the laboratory, so we'll just throw it in there for now. We'll store that up. We should be able to allow somebody to sleep pretty shortly when that fades out. So we'll send Atticus over here with the night lamp in order to get some sleep. 'Sleep There we go. Had the wrong thing slotted on in. So we'll let him get some rest. He's at 23% fatigue. We have cryptic text 2. Something is written here. We can use it in the study. All right. We'll start messing around in the study then. Oh, he's locked in place until we get done with the codex right there. There's a booster matrix over here. We'll throw that into the machine room. We've got another cryptic text right there that we've got to decipher. Requirements are not met. We need +1 to keys. Don't I have one of those around here somewhere? Yeah, we'll throw the ALT in right there, and hopefully that'll make us some progress. So that got rid of all of his fatigue, but there is a fading despair in there right now, which is unfortunate. Not super great. I wish that it weren't in there, but it is. I definitely don't want to sleep in the room right now. If I can help it anyways. I'd rather not. Study's doing its thing. Booster matrix is already up inside of there. Tracing charcoal, we'll put that off to the side because that gives +1 keys. And so it looks like we can use it just to assist whatever might need to be assisted. We got a Mystic's Tools. Ever since the foundation of Black Sands, the Eastern Sea trade brought many exotic tools and materials into the city. Often the first landing for long-ranging clippers and exploratory vessels, the port gathers trinkets like ships grow barnacles. Amongst the abundance of import contained tools set out to the educated eye. Certain devices function with unusual precision or alacrity. Their usefulness making them sought-after goods. Those useful items are often formed of rare metals, hold strange gems, or are imbued with unknown compounds. Those with sensitivity to the occult are drawn to these tools, perhaps sensing the power that they contain. They are coveted, passed on, and even strengthened in ancient forges, those pagan workshops still capable of enhancing such objects. Okay, hit that one too. Oh no, I don't have a thing to boost it up. I got a key right there that'll help us. All right, let's do that. It'll help out for a minute. Is anybody hungry right now? I guess I can send him out on another one just to see if he digs anything up. How to find the salt hair, the broken twig, and the signs of the worm, where the wild things are. We have uncovered a selection of expeditionary notes that will aid our exploration in the cliffs. Okay. We got another tracing charcoal, which is good. Definitely take that. He's a little bit fatigued right now. Does fatigue go up on its own if they're not doing a task, or is that explicitly linked to doing tasks? It looks like it's just linked to the timeline, so actually we should probably... I was kind of holding back because I wasn't sure. So we should basically be processing something at all times. I wasn't sure that we were losing fatigue based on the jobs that we were doing. Although you do get 10% right there. Okay. Gift of the Monkey. Task support. A scampering shadow, half-seen furry form darts around the machine room. Tools clatter and shelves creak, but the invisible interloper is helping, not hindering. A hairy hand passes you the part you require, and a chattering giggle fades into the air around you. A lingering vision, a source of inspiration. Okay, so we got Mene Hune helping us out right now. They like us. They like me. You go ahead and decipher the task over there. If anybody's tired, they should go rest while we still have an open room right there. He got raw meat off that side. Tracker's guide still good. A ruined pot. An old pot unearthed from a pile of debris abandoned in the cliff top. Its mud-smeared surface displays mysterious runic markings. Might be useful for something if we can discover its prominence. So it requires 2 keys, and we can take a look at it inside the study. That gives us a key right there, and he donates a key as well. So we might be able to do something. We got a fading despair right there, so we'll pull her out of the room. Why does she have a glowing border right now? I'm concerned about this. It's going to be a little bit till we can send anybody to rest inside of there. Let's study the pot real fast. Study the cliffs as well. I don't have anything to decipher with my machinist right now. But she is allowed to cook things. So maybe we'll send her into here and have her cook something in the kitchen real quick while we wait. Unmat's pot. Infinite use and an upgradable item. The runes around the kintsugi repaired pot seem to glow faintly. If you don't know what kintsugi is. Kintsugi is a Japanese art where something that is broken, you mend it back together with melted gold. I don't know. And before the age of the internet, I guess most people in the United States, unless they had some heritage or they just happened upon it in a book or something, might not know what kintsugi is. So I figured I'd explain it. Kintsugi is a Japanese art form of repairing something broken with gold to make it more beautiful than it was when it was complete before. Indica Unmat was a respected herbalist known for her exotic and sometimes unorthodox dishes. She claimed culinary benefits of this urn derived from the expert selection of spices she kept inside of it. Oh, nice. So that'll help out with cooking. That gives us a +1 to cooking right there, so that'll be good. Got another charcoal right there for the extra key. The fading despair isn't quite gone. Everybody's mostly looking rested. We have a basic meal right here. It's not tasty or fragrant or even very warm, but it is sustenance. We can all eat this together in the dining room to reduce our hunger. Well, what say that we do? Let's have a communal meal. And that got everybody fed. Enough victuals for now. Yep. All right, let's get her back on. I don't have anything I can do in the workshop, so she should probably just keep cooking. We can study fat in the laboratory. He's a little bit exhausted right now, but this is about to come off cooldown, so we'll give it a go. It's a pretty easy game to figure out, but it is sort of entertaining in a way. A tallow candle. Single use, and it gives us +1 to lanterns. Secrets. Okay, so a secrets task. We can use this card to perform a task in the caves. Do we have access to the caves yet? We do not have access to the caves just yet. Let's give him another second or two. I don't know what happens when his fatigue gets too high. I'm guessing his madness goes nutty boys on us. Let's go ahead and have him sleep real quick, and hopefully we don't strike out and get another lockout. We did get another lockout, unfortunately, but his fatigue is back down to 0, and everybody else is around about 20 to 40%. We made moonshine. It's not sophisticated, but it is effective. We can drink this to calm a fretful mind and quiet the whispers of the night. Okay, so that'll allow us to actually get rid of some of our madness. We still have texts that we need to go through. The sun is fixed at the horizons. Its rays reach out to hold back the falling sky. All is quiet in the Pale Kingdom, like frozen dust motes in the evening air, ever waiting, never falling. A place to wait the end of time. His acolytes are legion, born of the veils. They seek without sight, reaching out to spread his word. Many offer fealty to cross the river of dusk, but not all are worthy. Those that fall at the threshold are displaced to dreams and manifestations. Okay. Now, we do have a cryptic text over here that we can play around with. Can she also do mysteries? Because if she can do mysteries, that actually eases up on some of our struggle here. Let's go ahead and have her work on that over there. It looks like he's actually decent at sensations or something, too. So I guess we'll see how it plays out. Everybody else is just kind of chilling right now. Do I have anything else I can cook? A single-use laboratory booster. All right, we'll put that in there, too. A right to usher in a vision of the veil. Draw a window arch on the wall in white chalk. Circumscribe the form in a circle at the apex of the arch. Draw a 12-point star. With your forehead pressed against the star, sing the song of the autumn key. Hold the edges of the frame, stare beyond the wall without blinking until tears drop to the floor. Then close your eyes, close your mind, and open the window. This text is fascinating. It suggests that Lord Acheron might more rights hidden in the archive. Might have more rights. I guess that's a typo. The target of this particular incantation is the otherworldly plane of the Veils. It's a shadowy domain beyond our world, frequently referenced in occult lore and described as a barren land bordered by ashen shores, home to elders and their entourage. It seems hazardous. I propose we conduct the rite. The ritual itself is an incantation of limited power. It creates a window rather than a bridge. So even if our attempt succeeds, we are safe from harm on this side of the ethereal division. Whatever the result, we will surely learn more about the family's fate. I'd wager the Lord was driven mad by magic such as this if he weren't already insane. These rituals should be burned, not executed. The state of the house in the absence of its owners proves that. We should leave these fools to their fate. I hear you, but the family may still be reachable somehow, and my guild oath demands that I do my utmost to locate and protect. If you trusted my judgment during the kill fever epidemic, then please remain fast with me now. Miss Caligar, your knowledge and application saw us through that outbreak, and I remember your calm hands even amongst the channel mounds. I'm not happy with the situation, but I will continue to assist for now. There you go. This is the horror at Highrook. It's cult sim. They've taken the levels of esotericism and sort of eclecticism down, I think, by a couple different layers. This is a much more literal game, but that sort of makes sense. When in cult sim, you are basically a whacked out nobleman, or like, you are a person that is drawn to the other side, and you are trying to access that. Your anchoring is in the occult in that game, no matter what background you play. In this game, it's much more boots on the ground, where you are a normal layperson trying to chase down basically the guy from Cultist Simulator. This is sort of similar to an entire game based around the police playthrough from Cult Simulator, where you're trying to hunt down and figure out exactly what happened. And so they've dropped a lot of the trappings of strange doublespeak and entendre and whatnot. And it's sort of reading it to you as though an educated but also unoccult mind is going through this stuff, and I kind of dig that. It's a little bit more decipherable, I guess. And I also like the layout that gives it structure with the house and the rooms and the places that you can go to, which I guess draws on their more recent title by Alexis Kennedy, Book of Hours, which is kind of similar to this game as well. I'm excited to see this genre get more titles. I'm in love with this genre. I wish it had more people playing around with it and like the ideas that you can play around with things like this. I'm waiting for them to go analog with it. Like, so you have like these indentations and you put like a big gemstone into it and it makes like the sound of crumb. Like, bring in the audio visual portion of the game, you know what I mean? When somebody's working in the machine room, there should be like vzz, vzz, tink, 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 tink. And there should be like flashes of light inside of this room and little motes of sparks flying out of the operating area. When you're inside the study, you know, you should hear hushed whispers and you should hear kind of the breathing of an oil lamp going on, and there should be the occasional flapping of wings. When you're inside the archive, you know, there's the sounds of tomes being moved around, and there's the sounds of papers being rifled through. The audio visual here really has an opportunity to take the atmosphere up to the next level, as well as the UI with like things that slot into other things and make the sound of two stones grinding past one another. That's what I would be doing, is turning this not only into a board game, but like mysterious slots open up and like gems that you discover go inside of there. And then you find little pieces of an incantation and you've got a board over on this side where you can reassemble them like a jigsaw puzzle. And then they meld together with fire when you finish it off, and the sound effects and everything coming together into a heady clearance. Like, there's things like that I really think you could take this up to the next level and make it into a game that you play in a dark room late at night with the lights out and your headphones on, dialed up to maximum to really get sucked into, because I'm a big fan of immersive gameplay. But I like it. Keep going. I like it. My only real suggestion about the game is that maybe if there was an arrow right here and you clicked on it, a UI that looked like a big leather bag came over, and then you could draw different dividers inside the big leather bag, and you could kind of organize this stuff off grid. Either that or the game needs to zoom out a lot further and give you a lot more spaces for placing cards around, because a lot of the cards are sort of placed around the margins, I guess, of areas that you're playing with. But that's about it. My name is Splattercat. I sift through the pile to find what's worthwhile in the world of indie games every single day so you don't have to. Today it was horror at Highrook. Tomorrow it's something else. Bye, folks.